Welcome to this edition of Platform. My name is Muhammad Kuda Abubakar. Despite the rapid rise in the proliferation of information technology among Nigerians, the rate of its adoption to enhance productivity and boost the economy has been low. Statistics and indicators from organizations like the World Economic Forum and the United Nations show that there is a huge IT deficit in Nigeria. Nigeria is reported to rank low at 119th out of 139 countries surveyed. In the 2016 Global Information Technology Report, 143rd out of the 193 countries in the 2016 United Nations Government Survey. What is responsible for Nigeria's low ranking and low IT impact across the public and private sectors? This edition of Platform focuses on transforming Nigeria's information and technology sector with the Director General, National Information and Technology Development Agency, NITDA, Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami. Before his appointment as DG NITDA, Dr. Pantami was an associate professor of computer information systems at the International Islamic University of Medina, Saudi Arabia. He is from Gombe State, and holds a Bachelor of Technology degree in Computer Science, Master of Science in Computer Science, and MBA in Technology Management, and a PhD in Computer Information System from Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen, Scotland. While in the university, Dr. Pantami's high retentive memory is reported to have earned him various nicknames: Super Guru, Reservoir of Knowledge, the Father of Economics, and Return to Sender. He appeared to have hit the ground running at NITDA and is reported to have come up with a document titled Strategic Roadmap to Transform Nigeria's IT Sector, 2017 to 2020. These and more are the issues we shall focus on as we discuss transforming Nigeria's IT sector with Dr. Isa Ali Pantami, Director General, National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA. Welcome to Platform.
Thank you very much.
With me on the panel are Ruben Okala, Communications Correspondent of NTA.
Thank you very much.
And Emmanuel Elekebe, ICT Correspondent, Vanguard Newspapers.
Thank you very much.
Emmanuel Elebeke.
Yes.
Thank you for that correction.
Thank you.
Dr. Pantami, you're welcome once again to Platform.
Thank you very much.
The introductions are, we have already done that, and of course, we talked about the various challenges. But before we go to the nitty-gritty, the NITDA Establishment Act of 2007 says that NITDA is supposed to oversee and promote the development of IT sector in Nigeria, and at the same time serve as a clearinghouse for IT products. But it appears without even an IT capacity in the country, how do you begin to, if you like, perform these functions? Let's start from the low ranking of Nigeria. How do you go about, how do these agencies, United Nations or World Economic Forum, do the ranking before we now talk about why we have low ranking?
So thank you very much, my brother Muhammad Kuda Abubakar. I'm glad to be with you on this platform and to discuss about the challenges of IT in Nigeria. This question, I think it requires time to discuss on it on a larger scale, but I will go through it briefly because of time constraint. Actually, if you know statistics, sometimes not all survey that you rely on and say that this is tentative. Sometimes it's difficult for you to get precision and accuracy in statistics, particularly when it comprises many countries. For example, to say this is the statistic globally, because in statistics it depends on how your country presents its data. It's difficult for most of the organizations like even United Nations, whenever they intend to embark on research, some of our underdeveloping countries or developing countries find it difficult to present reliable data. Some do not even partake in the course of data collection. So in a situation where you do not participate, there could be high probability where that result could not be just you, which I think is very important. For example, if you are in developed nations like the US, the UK, whenever there is an ongoing data collection, you will see people online submitting, at least participating in data collection. But in Nigeria, it's difficult. For example, you have been using IT, but it's very possible that your own data has not been captured in that. The same with me, the same with all my colleagues here. So this is something that is very common in Nigeria. And result always depends on the data that has been collected. If Nigeria doesn't present its data, or Nigerians do not participate in the course of data collection, then there is high probability that justice cannot be done to our country in the course of analysis and discussing the result.
So which means the fault lies with NITDA.
However,
NITDA, as far as IT is concerned,
yeah,
should be the reservoir of that data for Nigeria.
Actually, I will agree with you in some ways, but it should not be actually the role of NITDA. For example, to the best of my knowledge, some of the issues took place before my appointment. To the best of my knowledge, NITDA was not notified officially. If NITDA was notified officially, we intend to collect data in Nigeria. There are many ways that we can go out and campaign, creating public awareness about the need to participate in that. But usually, we are not get involved in doing that. So in that situation, you will not be held responsible. There are things you should be notified officially before they go out and do it. But the agency has not been notified, for example. Because of this, you cannot say this is their fault. 1, 2, if the agency is notified officially, whenever there is data collection, there must be agreement between the agency representing the federal government and at the same time the organization conducting the research. Whenever you want to interview me, there must be some agreements. There must be some guidelines. For example, even during ordinary data collection, there are situations that journalists will come and meet you. One can say his opinion, but his identity should not be revealed. Why? It depends on the data he reveals to you, for example. So there are some agreements that must be reached, and this cannot be done if a government agency is not involved and notified officially, which I think should be one of the reasons. 2, I can also agree that the penetration of ICT and the penetration of internet is not that sufficient in Nigeria. However, I do not agree with the statistic completely, but there could be an element of truth in that, meaning that we could be higher than that position, but this does not mean that we have reached the peak we have intended to reach. We did not reach the peak we have intended to reach, for example, which I think is very important. And some of the issues that we can say brought about this challenge to Nigeria, one, I can say the level of digital literacy, which should be one of them. If you go to rural areas in Nigeria, even outside Abuja here, you will see people do not even know how to read and write. Not even talking about using ICT. Just to write their names, to write a letter in any language, Hausa, English, or Yoruba, or Igbo, is difficult to do that. You cannot manipulate ICT gadgets without having digital literacy. 2, you cannot manipulate these ICT gadgets without knowing how to read and write. So by implication, even if the gadgets are available and there is internet penetration, only people that can read and write and at the same time have digital literacy can use the gadgets. 2, which I think is very important as well, we have this attitude sometimes in rural areas that we are more conservative. Sometimes we don't accept changes. When mobile phone came to Nigeria, many people resisted. It was only when we were pushed to the wall that many people complied, because we have this attitude of being conservatives. We hardly accept changes. These are some of the issues. Number 4, it could also be lack of investment. When you are talking about ICT penetration, this is not something that only government can do. Even private investors will come in and invest. And that is what has been happening in developed nations, not in Africa. Like in the US, in the UK, go and see how people invest in ICT. And that is the only way you can go ahead and do it. People are investing, for example, in oil and gas. People are investing in infrastructure. People are investing in this and that. The same thing they need to do in ICT. We need to invest. By investing, we are sure that you will get profit by doing that, because ICT is next to oil and gas now.
Now, DG, NITDA was established in 2007,
yeah,
and you have the mission to develop and regulate information technology for sustainable national development.
Yeah.
You will agree with me that public service is 99% analog. when you go to offices, you see papers flying about.
Yeah.
You have work to do, don't you think so?
We have a very huge task to do. I agree with you 100%. If you ask me to answer this question, I will do it in two ways. First and foremost, what you need to do, for example, if you visit other countries, you will see that they have transformed their country more into what we call government digital services. But we are still battling with papers. I agree with you 100%. But what you need to realize, whenever you see anything in another country globally, if you come to Nigeria, you should act locally. That is what we call glocal. Think globally and act locally, because we have some peculiar situations that as long as they are not addressed, no matter how you want to promote government digital services, is difficult. Take, for example, you cannot transform or convert the entire system of governance from at least a manual to electronic one without having uninterrupted power supply. This is number one. Without power supply, you cannot do that. We reach a situation where you can visit some government ministries. You will find out they spend 1 month without power, without electricity. If they rely only on electronic system, how do you expect them to manage this? So now the issue of transformation of at least our government activities from being manual to electronic one depends largely on electricity. If you have uninterrupted power supply, then this could make it easier for you. But a situation where a government agency will spend 1 month without power, without electricity, if they rely only on electronic, how do you expect them to operate? So that is why if you think globally, you should act locally. The issue is not about transformation, conversion from manual to electronic. The situation is, if you do that, how sure are you will have power supply to sustain that system? This is one. Okay, let me allow you to ask question. Go ahead, please.
If I may take you back a little bit.
Yeah.
You rightly said that people need to invest in IT.
Yeah.
To drive the sector.
Yeah.
But they have to invest in what they know. To what extent are you educating Nigerians to understand the importance of IT for them to invest? Because they cannot invest where the money cannot come back.
You know, if you can recall vividly, I just spent around barely 7 months in office. And one needs time to strategize. As my brother Muhammad Kudu Abubakar said, I just recently came out with what I call strategic plan or roadmap of transforming Nigerian IT sector. The secret behind doing this, if you come on board without your plan, people will not allow you to plan. And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Because of this, when I came on board, many people were coming to me with their proposals. We want to do this and that. I say, please put it on hold. Allow me to understand what I'm here for. Because as long as you do not prepare well, people with their distraction and their personal interest, because of greedy and avarice, they will never allow you to be on track. That is why I say, allow me to understand what I'm here for. If I understand and I'm sure that I'm on track, then you can come and support me. I have no objection. You are not supposed to come and tell me what to do. Allow me to understand what I want to do. If I feel your input is necessary, I'm the one to reach you. Without even coming here, I will go to your house and knock your door and ask you to come and support me. Because I know the people that can add value to the sector. So this tells you critically that since I came on board, I had been working on strategic plan. And at the same time, implementing that strategic roadmap. Before even I came out with it, I was trying to see how I will marry the two together, developing it and at the same time implementing it. In that document, if you go clearly, you will see we have a segment where we will focus more on digital literacy. Try to make sure that this knowledge of ICT reaches including our rural areas. And this is something that you cannot do within 1 or 2 days. You need time to do that. And at the same time, you need resources to do that. It depends on what is available at your disposal. As long as I can get 70% of what I propose, for sure you will see a change within 1 year.
So while you are developing and implementing at the same time the strategic document, what will you now say you have understood to be NITDA's challenges?
Actually, there are some issues that being the chief executive, I feel I should not come out and expose my agency in a bad light. When I came to the agency, to be fair with you, the agency was more of an administrative one. There were no challenges at all People there, including those with PhD in IT, computer engineering, were not in any way interested in IT. They were more interested in administrative work. Because of this, the first challenge I took upon myself is to make sure that I bring back the agency to more of an IT-driven one, to a knowledge-based agency. And you cannot do that overnight. I introduced what I call technical session. In that technical session, all my senior staff will be asked to come and make presentations technically, a situation where when we come together, in that place, DG, director, deputy director are all the same, including a junior staff. If he comes, he can challenge the DG, there's no problem. It is more of an academic environment.
That's right.
Let us challenge ourselves. Let us make sure that we are very effective and productive to deliver our mandate. Because you cannot be the chief executive of the agency while your staff do not understand what you are there to do. You should challenge them. And if you look critically to the functions of NITDA under Article L, you will clearly see that it says that we should determine the critical areas of IT research and at the same time facilitate research and development in those critical areas. So we introduce technical sessions, and for sure, now my staff realize that I mean business. You cannot be part of NITDA today without being up to date in IT. Two, I realize that most of our civil servants, not all of them, are more interested in their personal issues than even what will promote Nigeria or what will transform Nigeria. To a situation where if you see people very active in doing work, they have something personal to benefit from that. But if it comes to serving Nigeria, most of our civil servants are not interested. Not all, most. With due apology to few that are upright. Because of this, I also introduced another session, what we call work ethics and professionalism. The secret behind introducing this segment is to make sure that we understand our responsibility and we don't have any country better than Nigeria. We are here to serve our Nigeria. Wherever you go, you are only second-class citizen. It is only in Nigeria you sleep well, you feel you are at home. And whatever any country gets, as long as your Nigerian country doesn't get it, then at the receiving end. So we introduce now that lecture. For sure, within 2 to 3 months with the introduction of this, I'm telling you, the agency has been changing significantly. You will see people are committed to their work. They feel like now they are to serve Nigeria and they want to leave legacy in Nigeria. They feel like if NITDA achieves its objectives, they have delivered. If NITDA fails to deliver, then by implication they have failed to achieve it. So these are some of the few things we started in-house, because you cannot deliver without having your team around willing to support you and have the capacity at the same time to deliver it.
I'm surprised as a DG you didn't mention finance as a challenge.
For sure, I said if the funds are available. That is what I said. I said this superficially because I don't want to go far in discussing this. In all government agencies, or let me say 95% of government agencies, there is no question about this. Funding is a challenge. And that is why in order to generate more, even 2 weeks ago, I was with the executive chair of FRIS. I visited him on that issue. Try to see how we can generate more of 1% levy in order to deliver our mandate. Because there are many companies that are supposed to be paying NITDA 1% levy and they have not been doing that. So I started working on that. I met the executive chair of FRIS. We discussed with him extensively, and he promised me that he will do his best to make sure that our 1% levy is increased significantly. And two, I identify most of the companies that are supposed to be paying 1% levy and they have not been doing that. I sent a letter to them to notify them about these, our entitlements. So I'm trying to at least see that what we generate to develop IT has been incremented significantly.
Well, I hope that that fund will come in so fast so that we can advance.
Thank you very much
now,
for the hope.
There's another statistics.
Yeah.
Even though you say you don't agree with some of the statistics.
Yeah, most of them, yeah.
It is, Nigeria is rated as third in the world in cybercrime. This is frightening. Third in the whole world. How disturbed are you yourself?
Thank you very much for asking this question. When I came, I look at the functions of NITDA, and I clearly see that NITDA is supposed to be using IT to promote the security of the nation. Under Article M, you can clearly see that the act says that NITDA should use IT to enhance the security of the nation. And when I came to the agency, there was not even cybersecurity unit. The first challenge I took upon myself is to make sure that the departments at least are well structured in order to capture the responsibility of the agency. Now, after following a long process of due process, we were able to have cybersecurity department in NITDA. And that cybersecurity department will focus more on public key infrastructure. If we can get our public key infrastructure implemented, for sure, that will support us in at least eliminating or reducing 70% of cybercrime taking place in Nigeria. 2, we have CERT, Computer Emergency Response and Readiness Team, which is monitoring all cyber attacks taking place in Nigeria and also notifying relevant agencies about potential attacks and at the same time how to save their system even after the attack. 3, we are still working on our standards and guidelines because we are supposed to develop standards, guidelines, and even framework on IT adoption in public and private sector. We are working on that, particularly when it comes to hosting government website. When I came critically, I look into that. There are a lot of challenges. You will see government websites on shared platform. By implication, they are compromising their own security. And there is lack of cybersecurity awareness. And I'm still working on that. As long as our budget is approved, we will start creating public, at least campaign and awareness about cyber crime and cyber security. 3, on the issue of that statistics, I agree with you that the rate of cyber crime in Nigeria is alarming and disturbing. However, I will disagree with that statistics. The countries that I feel have more challenge of cyber crime, if you look into it, are among the most advanced nations in the world, including the US. Look at the technological advancement of the United States of America. Look at how India excels in IT. Look at how China excelled in technological advancement. If you are counting about cybersecurity, cyber crime, these countries are on the top. The US, China, and even India. And if you look into it critically, they are among the nations that develop excellently in IT. So sometimes the way you develop, the more there are more challenges there. Okay. Because some people are experts.
They've been able to counter.
That is the issue. So the way you try to develop and bring out more IT gadgets, there are some people there having sleepless night, trying to see how they can penetrate and try to see how they can hijack the system you are developing. So that is why you should understand the rate of cyber crime directly depends on your IT development. In Nigeria, the problem is not that we have developed like the US or China and the rest. The issue is that many people are committing cyber crime all over the world claiming to be Nigerians. This is one issue that is very critical, claiming to be Nigerians. And cyberspace has not been regulated effectively in Nigeria. You can sit anywhere, go through any data, fill up the form online and say that I'm a Nigerian. And there is no any system in our cyberspace that will verify whether you are Nigerian or not. For example, there are many online activities you will see. While trying to do that, if you are in Nigeria, you feel you are in the US, the system will reject it. Why? Because their public key infrastructure and other IC gadgets will check out whether you are the citizen of that country or not. If you are not, the system will immediately reject you. But in Nigeria, we don't have it. Because of this, you can sit anywhere in the world and claim that you are a Nigerian, commit whatever you wish, perpetrate and perpetuate corrupt practices, and claim to be a Nigerian, and that is the end of it. And there is no any system that can verify to make sure that you are a Nigerian or not.
DG sir, this time around, it's a federal government agency, NOTAB. Recently, in fact, it has been a consistent report from NOTAB that 90% of technology or devices being used in Nigeria are imported. What is your agency doing to curtail this in order to improve local content?
Thank you very much.
You're supposed to serve as clearinghouse.
Yeah, thank you very much. First and foremost, when I came to NITDA, as you can clearly see, that NITDA is the regulatory body of infotech in Nigeria. NITDA is supposed to develop standards, guidelines, and even framework for IT adoption in both public and private sector. 3, NITDA is the clearinghouse of IT for all MDAs. But before my appointment, these responsibilities have never been discharged. It is only now, when I came on board, we try to see that we enforce all these responsibilities. And it is the first time in history that MDs are coming to NITDA seeking for clearance before they embark on any IT project. But before I came, there was nothing like that. And don't forget, there was even a government circular on 18 April 2006, 11 years ago, notifying all MDs to go to NITDA to seek for clearance. But this has never been enforced in any way. But when I came on board, I sent a letter to most of the MDAs, notifying them about our act and at the same time emphasizing the circular of the federal government of 18 April 2006, calling their attention to come here and seek for clearance. By implication, if they come seeking for clearance, we will look into the project critically, because we realize that most MDAs consider IT projects to be like a conduit of siphoning government money. If you insert any IT project in your budget, you can hardly go to any committee where you will be challenged academically and technically. Because the only what some person say, how can you say this software is 20 million naira? Don't you know that there is a software even in the US of $5 million? And that is the end of it. You cannot be challenged. But if NITDA is effective in being the clearing house, whoever comes with any proposal, we will look into it. First and foremost, we will make sure that nobody capitalizes on IT project to siphon government money. So by implication, we are fighting corrupt practices. Two, we will try to see that at least there is synergy and collaboration between government agencies. There are software that if you one MDA or department or agency buys, another MDA doesn't need to buy. They can use it, they can share it. They are all serving the same government. Three, we make sure there is value for money. Because you will see one project being repeated each and every year. There is not any provision for sustainability. As long as we are clearing house, if you come for that, we'll ask you, where is your project of 2016? Let me see. Sometimes you can see the same project there. It has been implemented, but no provision for sustainability. So it collapses, and they will also include it in 2017. And this will continue each and every year. So now, at least we try to enforce this responsibility of NITDA to be the clearing house. Many MDAs are coming. Before I came here, even National Population Commission were in NITDA yesterday seeking for clearance. We had a meeting with them. We asked them some critical questions about the project they have intended to embark upon, which will consume billions of naira, which we all see it online. So these are some of the things. Many MDAs are coming. Federal character were in NITDA seeking for clearance for the first time in history. National Population Commission came for the first time in history. CBN came to NITDA last month seeking for clearance of the ID project for the first time in history. So they are all coming. And whenever they come, we sit down, have our committee, discuss with them professionally and intellectually, address some of their critical issues, give them a template to complete. They will bring it back. We will also sit down and discuss with them to see that there is value for money in this project.
Do you have power to sanction or discipline any defaulter?
We have it. If you look at our act, Section 16 and Section 17, both of them emphasize that any chief executive that breaches our act could be imprisoned for 1 or 3 years, as the case may be. So by implication, if you go ahead and deploy IT gadgets without our approval, without following our standard and guidelines, then we can take you to jail for 1 or 3 years. Is there in our act?
Is NITDA responsible for taking that organization or individual to court, or you are supposed to report, for example, to the office of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, or what?
It depends on the interpretation, but we have our legal team in NITDA, and they are in the better position to handle this. But for sure, the act says that breaching this act can take one to jail for 1 or 3 years. For 1 year on the first occasion, 3 years on the second occasion, including even fine again. Both of them can be combined together.
Let's go back to this cybercrime issue where you touched it in person, but I think we should relate it to the implementation of the TSA and, of course, mobile banking in Nigeria.
Yeah.
How safe are we?
I think TSA is significantly okay. And this is another issue that you are talking about, enforcement of local content. Recently, we launched a standing committee with NOTAP. We want to work together. It's a standing committee. I had a meeting with the DG of NOTAP. He came to NITDA with his management team. We discussed for almost 2 hours on how to have a standing committee to monitor what is being imported to Nigeria. Two, we are still working on local content to see how we can improve its quality and at the same time quantity. The issue is one. A country like the Gambia, you can easily enforce local content, population of less than 3 million, but Nigeria is 180 million. Sometimes you can have the capacity of having the quality, but the quantity is an issue. Look at the company that can produce hardware for 180 million people in Nigeria. So that is why we are closely monitoring. We are taking, even surveying all the software practitioners, hardware manufacturers we have in Nigeria now. We are trying to identify the quantity and the quality they are producing. And we are working with them on a daily basis through our subsidiary of the Office of Nigerian Content and Office of ICT Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So we are working on this. And for sure, even in clearing our IT projects, we always make sure that the interest of local content is well protected. Because no country can develop in IT without promoting local content. Indigenous content is very critical. So we have been working on this significantly these days. And I promise you that by the end of this year, we do hope that a lot can be achieved.
Now the DG...
No, he has not answered the...
Okay, your question.
The issue of cybercrime,
yeah,
mobile banking,